a happy new year, and I can't wait to see you all back here when the House resumes for 2018. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Erica Stanford.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I am so pleased to rise to speak in this adjournment debate for 2017. I'd like to start by reflecting on my last 2 months as an MP and to share with this House some of the learnings that I've acquired, one of which occurred here in this very chamber, Mr Speaker, and that was to always know when you are on camera and keep your reactions in check, because you never know when you'll be sitting behind a member who stands up to give a speech like the one from Kaikoura to tell you the story about the time he shot a deer through the scrotum. Throughout my entire orientation period, I was led to believe that there was a certain level of decorum in this House, and maybe there still is, or maybe on this occasion that member just dropped the balls. One of the things that us new MPs need to get used to, is that there is often a very mean treatment we get on Twitter. I refer to yesterday's posts from someone who, it's a group called Let's Meme This, in which they had the gall to call me the member that no one had heard of, from the electorate that no one had heard of. That, Mr Speaker, is absolutely gutting, that sort of attack on credibility and authenticity. The East Coast Bays, for goodness sake, that electorate brings you the famous QBE Albany Stadium, the home ground of the mighty Springboks. We have a history of controversy. In 1981, we famously voted in social credit for 7 years in protest of a 5-cent bridge toll increase. And speaking of controversy, and more recently, we brought you Colin Craig, political candidate, poet, and well-known philanthropist. Let the record state that I said philanthropist. Actually, I and the East Coast Bays got off quite lightly in this mean meme fest yesterday, Mr Speaker. My poor colleague, Andrew Falloon here, was described as a potato elected by Rangitata. And the unfortunate... He is very appealing, I can vouch for that. The member from Pakuranga was congratulated on being the first fetus elected to Parliament. So I can say that I did get off very lightly, and these are just a selection of some of the awful things that get said on social media that we have to get used to, that we have to grow a thick skin, and we have to just get over it. There are some things, Mr Speaker, that I cannot and I will not get over, however, and one of those things is the issue of partnership schools and the fact that this government is committed to closing them down despite the rhetoric around merging them. Mr Speaker, I had the great honour of attending a rather special graduation ceremony at Great Vanguard School, a partnership school in my electorate. What I want to tell you is it was like a graduation and prize-giving ceremony that I have never been to before. These students who were receiving NCEA Level 1, 2, 3 and UE certificates were walking across the stage. They were high-fiving their teachers. They were hugging them and embracing them. There were yells from the crowd, from their families and supporters. It was emotional, it was inspiring, and I was proud of them. They weren't even my children. At this point, I would like to admit that I like to think about Kelvin Davis. Not all the time, just on certain occasions. In particular, I like to think about those comments. That I'm sure we all remember that he made on Q&A about a few National Party MPs in the lead up to the election. You will all remember those wicked zingers that he dropped, something about the PM being a rock, Judith Steer and Simon Bridges here. Just as an aside, who in their right mind would make a joke about Simon Bridges' hair? Look at that luxurious mane, that gloriously thick, dark mop with not a hair out of place, gloriously swept back for that perfectly casual look. I digress. Mr Speaker.
Order. Keep it seemly.
I digress, Mr Speaker. Back to my main point, although can I say Mr Bridges' mane is on point. The point that I like to think about is the process that Mr Davis had to come up with, or to go through to come up with these nasty comments. As much as Mr Davis is well known for his quick wit and comedic abilities, I don't believe that these comments were off the cuff, and I like to think about the process he had to go through. He had to think about doing it. He had to find a pen and a piece of paper. He had to sit down. He had to jot down some notes. He had to practice it out loud. He had to get his timing right, the delivery perfect. He perhaps practiced on a friend. And then he had to find the perfect time to use them. And I reckon that's about a minimum of an hour's work. And can I say that while Mr Davis was spending time doing this, what he wasn't doing was visiting Vanguard, a charter school in his electorate. He's been the MP for 3 long years and he has never visited them. I've been the MP for 5 minutes and I've visited all but 2 schools in my electorate, and I have visited Vanguard on many occasions. I would like to take this opportunity as the MP for East Coast Bays to invite both the Prime Minister and the MP for Tītai Tokerau to come and visit Vanguard, to speak to the students, to hear their stories, to see that these schools are changing lives. And if this government is serious about closing the gap between those students who are achieving and those students who are not, then explain to these students why they are closing their schools. It's my guess that the PM and Mr Davis will not make the time to visit Vanguard, but I will continue to visit, and I will continue to fight.
Can I ask the 2 sort of relatively senior members to settle down?
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I will continue to fight for this school and for these children who, quite frankly, deserve better than this government. And can I say, Merry Christmas, Mr Hipkins.
The Honourable Ian Lees-Galloway.
Well, Mr Speaker, that member